Hey, I'm posting this as a video response to another YouTuber who posted his thoughts on the Watchmen movie. And it sounds to me like, you kind of have the similar position that most hardcore fans do, which is I don't think you don't sound like you have a big problem with Zack Snyder or his approach to Watchmen or anything. It's just the fact that they're making the movie at all is the problem. And I'm a big fan of the Watchmen graphic novel, and it is a huge, huge story. And it's not just that it's so complex that makes it so hard to film, it's just the way that it's told is done in a way that you can only do in a graphic novel. And there's so many things where you go, how do you tell it that way in a movie? And so it's very hard to imagine a Watchmen movie doing it justice at all, even though the current cut of the film is 2 hours and 45 minutes. Cross our fingers, hopefully it'll stay that way. They won't cut too much out. But so it's going to be a long movie, and it's going to be rated R. I mean, this is going to be... I really think that Snyder... everything I've seen of what he's been saying about it, he doesn't want this to just be Spider-Man or Batman. He wants people to walk out of the theater feeling like, I never looked at superheroes that way before. And which is one of the things the graphic novel did for me. And so, can it be done? Can they make even a 3-hour film that does the graphic novel justice? No, probably not. Almost certainly not. But I think that Snyder is going to give it one heck of a try. I mean, look at previous Alan Moore adaptations, and no one has ever really attempted to capture the complexity and brilliance of an Alan Moore graphic novel. And it's understandable why he's condemning the film. And you look at, like V for Vendetta, for example. It's like, let's take a couple characters, take a couple cool elements from the graphic novel, and then just kind of forget about it and make a movie. That's the impression I get with V for Vendetta, for example, is that they just kind of took a couple elements from the graphic novel and then just kind of made their movie. And this one, I really get the impression that Snyder is reading the graphic novel very closely. He wants to make a very faithful adaptation. He understands... he wants fans to be happy, and everything he said about the novel is like, wow, he gets it. He understands why the graphic novel is so brilliant, he understands the limitations of film, why this is supposedly unfilmable. And, I support Snyder in this just because if you read what they were gonna do with Watchmen before Snyder showed up, a lot of the scripts have leaked online, and among other things, the biggest change was they were going to set it in present day and make it about the War on Terror instead of the Cold War. Would have been horrible. Like it was going to be another V for Vendetta, where it's just no attempt is made to do it justice. And Snyder came along, and the impression I get was he also felt like the movie shouldn't be made. But I think his fear of it being a horrible movie overcame his belief that it couldn't be done. And so I think that he understands that it's unfilmable, but he just wants to try to make a movie that is very different, is a very different kind of superhero movie, and captures the important themes of the graphic novel, and hopefully get people interested in the graphic novel. He said a couple times that one of his major goals is he wants this movie to be a commercial for the graphic novel. And after the trailer came out, the Watchmen book sales skyrocketed, so it's working so far. But it can't be done. But there's a lot of other things. Lord of the Rings couldn't be done; it was unfilmable. And did the movie do Lord of the Rings justice? No, not completely. Of course not. But it was still a great film. It honored the themes of the book. People ran out and read the book after they saw the movie, and so even though they didn't completely do Lord of the Rings justice, I still kind of say, hey, they gave it one heck of a try, and it was made by diehard fans, and it still honors the spirit of it. So that's all I think all we can ask for with an adaptation like Watchmen. And this is not just a V for Vendetta thing, where it's let's take a couple ideas and make a movie out of that. No, this is a true This is for the first time. I think this is exciting. For the first time, someone is trying to capture the complexity and brilliance of an Alan Moore graphic novel. Can they do it completely? Probably not. But I still think they can make a great film that makes people go, wow, I never looked at superheroes that way. It honors the themes of the book, which is really important. As for Alan Moore's involvement, honestly, I'm not sure how big of a deal that is to me. It is definitely really sad that he's not involved. But, no, the reason he's not involved, anytime someone has approached him, like, oh, you want to know what's going on with the movie, he always just kind of puts up his hands like, I don't want to know, don't tell me anything. I don't even think he's seen the trailer. I don't even think he understands that Snyder wants to be faithful to it or anything like that. And it's understandable. Like, you look at past Alan Moore adaptations, and no wonder he's condemning it before even knowing anything about it. And so the fact that Alan Moore is condemning the film doesn't really faze me, because he doesn't know anything about it, and he's probably thinking it's just going to be another V for Vendetta kind of thing. And who can blame him for thinking that, you know? I mean, I feel bad for the guy. He's gotten burned so many times. I mean, I don't blame him for condemning the film before knowing anything about it. But that's the reason Alan Moore's lack of involvement and his condemnation, actually, of the film, it doesn't really faze me, because his reasons for doing it are not because of Zack Snyder or anything like that. Kind of the same reasons as you, I guess. You know, it's just that it's being made at all. And he's gotten burned several times by Hollywood in the past. So I'm expecting, if I walk out of the Watchmen movie feeling like, you know what, that was probably about as good as a Watchmen movie could have been, and about as good and faithful to the graphic novel as it could have been, then I'm going to be happy. And if my friends walk out of it just going like, I've never looked at superheroes that way before, or I just never looked at anything ever, that was so interesting, and it just blew my mind, it does the things the graphic novel did, even though everything in the graphic novel is not in the movie, of course, then I think I'll be happy. And that kind of my little phrase I've come up with is, you know, okay, Zack Snyder can't do Watchmen justice, but he can give it one heck of a try, and so that's what I'm hoping for.